Okay, if you liked the cover of Run by Eddie Benjamin, well, let's break it down real quick here, man. Here's what we did. Let's talk about the vocal first. The first thing you hear is this run. It sounds like this. Yeah. It's 2 tracks layered because I wanted to pan them hard left and right for some stereo excitement. This is what they sound like dry. Run! That's all they sound like. And then there is a laugh in this one. Run! And we liked that because with the effects on, what I did was put on Little Altar Boy and just change the formant a little bit. Get out of here, man. I just changed the formant slightly. Sounds like this. Pitched it down basically a little bit, but kept it in time. And then here's where the magic is. It's Effect Rack by Sound Toys. I'm not using that much here. I put on Decapitator, which is an amazing plugin. Honestly, if you have a shot at catching Sound Toys when they're on sale, like a whole bundle, just do it. They're incredible. They sound amazing. Decapitator is like a compressor with overdrive, essentially. I put Punish on, drives up to 6. And let's see, this is what it sounds like. Yeah. It's like getting angry now. And then I wanted it to like, kind of like the record does. So it's just Decapitator and a delay, Echo Boy Jr. You could do this with any plugin in your DAW. You just add some saturation, some compression, and a delay. Bada bing, bada boom. Then for the main vocal, all I really did here, it looks like a lot, but I used a compressor in mono. It's the CLA 2A. And I'm only doing this for gain, for volume. And then I guess I played with the pitch a little bit here. Oh, I used Melodyne. I left it completely untuned unless something just felt a little like, oh, and I wanted to nudge it towards pitch. But I didn't put anything perfectly in tune. I don't like how that sounds. Maybe it's just with my voice, but most of the time, if something is being tuned, I don't want to hear it. I just want to hear that it sounds good. I don't want to be able to tell that it was tuned. So I did that right out of the compressor. Then I went to Pultec. It's just an EQ, but I like the way it sounds. And I think I just added a little bit of the lows, and that's it. You could do that with any kind. I put a de-esser on, boom. And then the real magic is CLA vocals. This thing's like, it's sort of like, it's just a grouping of good effects. Here they are. Added some bass, added some treble, and then compressed it. I mean, this thing is getting spanked. It's on wall. A little bit of reverb, kept it tight. I love the slapback delay on this thing. And then I made it stereo so slightly. But again, it just gives it a little bit of excitement on the left and right. Here's what it sounds like.
We're tangled up in the sheets, but you're drifting away.
Boom. That's it. Oh, Fab Filter. I put a Pro MB on here. It's just a multi-band compressor.
But you're drifting.
On to the BGVs. There are not many. I'm sorry. There's a few, but they're only in the chorus. Here's what they sound like.
Run, run, you run away.
And what I did here was EQ'd them, boom. Took out a lot of lows because I don't want competition in the low mids or the mids or the lows or the highs for that matter. Looks like I'd scooped quite a bit out. Put a stereo compressor on for both volume, but then also for some glue effect. Got little micro shift, and this is a trick that I learned from somebody way smarter than me to, again, stereo excitement. That's the theme. If you got something that's coming mostly down the center, then you can add just some ear candy on the sides without adding any new sounds. You can just throw that in there. Boom, Pro de-esser. And then this is a really cool plugin. It's called Track Spacer. And it's basically a dynamic sidechain. Okay, so what I did with this was I sidechained it to the main vocal so that anytime the main vocal is in, it's just pushing the volume in whatever EQ range you decide. It's pushing that volume down, and it allows that lead vocal or anything else that you choose to sidechain this to cut through, and it just eliminates a lot of competition there. And then I had a drum track for reference here. I used it to find a sound on a plugin called Soulfy, and it's basically just a collection of drums, and it can be a beat sampler, it can be like a bunch of different things, but I like it because the drums sound really natural and like they were recorded better than ever I could. So then I found the kick I liked, and I put it in there. And I like to bounce everything to audio because you have so much more control. You could have all of your drums, especially when they're MIDI, in the same track. And that's fine, but I find that you can really make it it's such an easier time of making it sound better when you have control over each element and when it's audio. Another cool trick I did with this kick, I learned this from a couple different people, but Rob Late reminded me of this most recently. And I just took a portion of that kick sound and I reversed it. And you don't even really hear that, but you feel that in the track. So it comes in stronger like this. Whoops. And then I decided I would season that in a couple different places where it was important to transition. Like here's another one. You feel that? Oh, I love that. Okay, then same thing with the snare. Oh, and what I did to the kick, I put a drum bus from Ableton on it to add some drive and some crunch, just kind of some saturation. And then I used this plugin called Transient Master. It's just a transient plugin. You can make the sustain longer or shorter. You can make it cut more. I also did the same kind of trick. It's the same thought process with this snare. So I programmed this in MIDI. And once I liked where I was at, I bounced it to audio. And then I kind of messed with it even further. And you can see on this, I didn't put any plugins on this at all. That's crazy. I must have really liked how it sounded. And then I also did another reverse track with the snare. And I found that it added something really nice to the snare roll. When you hear them both, it makes more sense. I liked that. It sounded more natural and more real to me, and it just was interesting, so I did it. Hats, same thing. There's no plugins on this. I just bounced it to audio. And then what I did was I just put a glue compressor. I grouped the drums, put a compressor on them, and they just sound more natural that way. You can see us working a little bit there. That's another trick for just getting your drums that are programmed to sound more real, more together. And then for the guitar, I didn't use guitar in this. I fully anticipated to, but I grabbed a sample from the intro of the recording and I put it here. And then you don't ever hear it again because I automated this out. And I found, see, I even have a track for where I was gonna record guitar there. But I found that once I added the bass in, it didn't need a guitar. All the other frequencies were feeling good to me, so I just left it. The bass, I love. This is just a Squire P bass, direct in. You saw it on the video. That was the take. And it's just a one and doneer. I did a couple of things to this to make sure that it was cutting when it needed to and that it was out of the way when it needed to be. Got another compressor here for volume, and then I have a sidechain compressor, and I sidechained it to the kick. So whenever the kick comes in, the bass is ducking, but it's happening so fast that you really only feel and hear the kick cut through, and then you don't notice the loss of the bass because it's a trade in frequencies there. The kick is occupying what you're now missing just short, for a short amount of time, only when the kick's in. The kick's occupying that space and the bass is out of the way so you can feel the kick come in, okay? Then I just added some saturation. This is a great plugin by Softtube, just called Saturation. And I kept the low frequencies intact and I added in some highs and I just dialed it into taste. And then I found that added a little bit too much in the highs. You were hearing like every little slide of fingers or like moving on the strings too much. So I just ducked that out. And that's it for the bass. One more thing that I added just for a little bit of like, just something interesting. I found a patch on Serum that I really liked. And I was just cycling through seeing, do I need a synth in this? Because there's a really cool synth in this song. Let me try to find something. And I found this like breathy thing. I love that. And let's see. Let me unfreeze this. Again, I put transient master on it. And I raised the attack, lowered the sustain. So it's just more rhythmic that way. And you can see it's a little bit off of the grid. That's just where it felt good. That's how I played it in. Then this is some sauce. If you don't have LFO tool, you should. It's amazing. What it's doing here, it's taking the volume, you can see it, in a 16th note interval, and it's raising and lowering it that fast. So it's just this pulse. It adds so much energy. And then again, a little micro shift going on. And put it 100% wet and on the second setting, and that's it. I might have missed something, maybe I didn't. If you have questions about anything else you hear, holler at me, man. YouTube out. Is that how we sign off?